Alright, so we might have one thing that we can do. My buddy, Mason, you've seen him on the channel more than once. He said at their shop that they were fighting this problem recently and that it's going to be piston rings being dried up. So he said to put a little bit of, about an ounce of oil in each cylinder, turn it over a couple of times. Let's cross our fingers and hope that that works. And we'll recheck compression and see if we have any luck. I turned it over by hand a couple times, starter a couple times, just turning it over. Then tried turning it over a couple of times with and without the spark plugs in. That way maybe it would build a little compression and make the oil, I don't know, whatever. And then I retested cylinder 1, it was still at 0. Retested cylinder 2, it's still at 0. So not looking super hopeful. So I put the spark plug back in. A little bit of compression would help spread the oil, and cranked it over and just let it sit for a little while. And cylinder 1, instead of being completely 0, actually got up to about 5 PSI. So there's hope that maybe if I let it sit a little bit longer, it'll build up. And I'm honestly just happy that this thing's like got a little bit of compression. Like, it shows me a little bit of hope. I'm really hoping to not have to pull this whole thing out. So it sounds a little bit better. Actually built some compression. It sounds much better. And I thought I'd hook everything up and try to give it a little, bump and see if it would start or not. That little bump started to turn into, it almost sounded like it wanted to start. So I just kept going, but I stopped briefly and then I heard dripping. And then I thought to myself, that's probably not good. So I came out here and noticed I had sprung a fuel leak. My question now is side of the injector the leak is coming from. Not that it really matters, I'm gonna have to pull them all and reseat all the injectors. So I'm about to have some help with cranking this over, and we're gonna see where our fuel leak is at. Stop. So as you probably saw on camera, it was this little nut that's in the middle of the fuel rail that I have no idea what it's used for. Maybe to drain fuel like I'm doing right now. However, what I did notice is it looked like it blew out the O-ring, but that would be a good reason. O-rings cracked like crazy. So we found the oil, oh, hello there. So found the oil leak. Just need to get a new O-ring and then retighten that bolt down. We should be fine. I did, however, while I was in the engine bay, run another compression test, and the oil in the cylinders, I guess, didn't work. Or maybe I just need to do another round of oil in the cylinders. I'm going to talk with my buddy that's done this, see how many, if he had to do more than one round of this to get it to work. If not, then I guess the head's coming off at the very least. So I've already cleared off plenty of bench space. I got a leak down tester. Bam, it's like 80 bucks. And went down the rabbit hole and ended up getting a riv nut gun. Needed one of those anyway. And then I had no idea what size O-ring I needed. So I got an assortment of SAE and metric sizes. So I should never need one again. They also had a bunch of flap discs on sale. Anyway, we're gonna get our O-ring replaced and then move on to our leak down test. For those of you who don't know what a leak down test is, it's this thing. Basically, using your regulator here, you turn it up, have it go up to 100 PSI. That is coming from an air compressor, and then you take your other end over here and plug it into cylinder 1, and then 2, 3, etc. But in my case, it's all the cylinders doing the exact same thing, so unless it's all the rings going bad, we don't really know what it is. I'm hoping to be able to hear something, to be completely honest, but I should definitely not be able to hold a lot of pressure in the cylinder. The reason you bring it to top dead center is it closes the valves. Your valves are closed, especially on an impedance engine such as the 2JZ, because if the cylinder's all the way at the top and one of your valves is open, you're gonna end up hitting it, and you're gonna hear it, and it's gonna ruin your valves, and you're gonna have to redo all that, and that's a lot of fun. I'm lying. You got air coming in, air coming out into the cylinder head using this, just like the compression tester. Boom, and then you screw it in. If you go all the way up to 100 on your first gauge here, your second gauge should be within 10. If it's at 100, that's perfect, and you have the best engine ever, supposedly. You'll get leakage from your valves being slightly open and not seated correctly, or your rings, or your head's not torqued, or whatever. We're gonna go ahead and run this test, and then from this, if we can't find anything definitive, then we get to take the head off. So we are top dead center. I can tell by my markings here and on the crank. Just like the compression test, we're gonna take this guy and move him down in there if he wants to be nice. Go. So we'll slowly release some pressure into the cylinder. Well, boys, as you can probably hear, where it's coming from. Well, as y'all can probably hear behind me, it's way coming through the intake. Timing's in line right now. I'm interested to see if everything is this off. I'm gonna run the same test on 2, and that's at 40-10. So I'm gonna run it on the second cylinder and see if I get approximately the same, and that just means that our cam on our intake side is off. Honestly, probably just a little bit. So now I have cylinder 2 at the top of its stroke, so both valves should be closed. We'll see how this goes. Well, boys, I think we found our problem. When I was regasketing the engine, I made the mistake of unbolting the front 5 bolts of my VVTi gear and just kind of realigned it and shoved it back together. Don't do that. Get a rebuild kit. Do it the right way. Because apparently it can make you think that your engine's not going to start. So basically now what I'm going to do is go ahead and take everything off that I need to in order to get my VVTi gear off, and I'm going to order a rebuild kit right now. So as you can see, I got the VVTi gear off. No, this is not recommended, and yes, I will retime the whole thing. Don't worry. It is not under tension either. I'm able to get to the tensioner without taking all that crap off. Luckily, marked my belt, marked my gears and everything. I went through and double checked that I didn't just need to tension the VVTi gear all the way to the right. It was already done. I went and looked inside the cams, obviously, because they're wide open, with the cam gears aligned in at top dead center. What I determined is that we were about 30 degrees off on our intake cam, and we may have not been quite that far off, but we were pretty far off, enough where it wouldn't ever build compression on a compression stroke because our valves are open. With that being said, I'm going to take a look at our VVTi gear and see what I can kind of figure out. So I think I figured out my problem. Anyway, I've got my VVTi gear taken apart. I figured out how it's supposed to go together. The bad part is when I went to torque it down at 1 in the morning at 10 foot-pounds, like it says on the torque sheet, I wasn't thinking, this seems like a lot for 10 foot-pounds of torque, and snap, as you can see right here, snap the bowl right into the gear. I am gonna go ahead and get an easy out and pull this thing out and get some new hardware at the store while I'm out, so that when we do rebuild this thing, it's gonna be perfect. Unfortunately, that's not coming until Monday, so it won't be in this video, but we are that much closer to starting the engine. I'm really excited about getting this thing rolling. I'm sorry if this video was a little bit uneventful for y'all. However, for me, it was extremely successful, I think. We'll find out. Really happy. I think I figured out why the car's not firing, and then it's not just the whole engine shit. So with that being said and done, that's gonna do it for this one. I will make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I will catch y'all in the next one.